Welcome to our podcast, designed for psychologists, therapists, and counselors who want to take their business online and live a soul-nourished and profitable life without compromise. If you want to know the secrets used by practitioners just like you to navigate the global e-learning market successfully, then you're in the right place. I'm Dr. Tilean, chartered psychologist, business mentor, and your host, and welcome to the Abundant Practitioner Podcast. In today's discussion, we're doing something really new that we've not done before. Is I am going to be speaking with a fabulous, incredible woman called Dr. Hannah Dennis, and she is the founder of HRD Consultancy. She has been a client within the Business Academy for 4 years. She is amazing. I'd love to even call her a friend. We recently met up for some drinks and check-in and some advancement, and it's just been such an incredible journey, Hannah. I have seen you flourish before my eyes. The journey of just becoming and uncovering more and more and more of your God-given vision has been
Yeah.
so beautiful.
Yeah,
So
it's
beautiful.
definitely a journey. And yeah, I too call you a friend. So we did have a fantastic time when we met up recently. But yeah, it's a journey, isn't it? This whole moving into business, it has been quite a journey. And I know that the person I am now, to say when we first went on that call together, if you had said I'd be doing this, I would. I don't know what I would have thought at that point, but I think I would have run a mile. So
Yeah, right? The transformation, and I think that's really important place to start. And before we start there though, please tell, I know some people may know you or seen you around, right? But
yeah.
do share, what's your mission? What is HRD Consultancy about?
Okay. So HRD Consultancy is about empowering individuals with learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, neurodivergence to live fulfilling lives. So we are very much about empowering them to reach their full potential. I totally 100% believe that everybody has the right to reach their full potential, regardless of neurodivergence, regardless of disability. And I do that through HRD consultancy, through empowering leaders, through leaders work, but then also through empowering parents, as well as some individual bespoke consultancy. And I have plans for the future for other things, but I'm sure we can come on to that later.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really flourished, it's really evolved, And I know when we first spoke, before you even stepped into the Business Academy, Hannah was somebody that booked a call and we connected to talk about is this the right next step for me? What's this even about? I don't even know necessarily what I should do, right? So when we first met, this was one idea and maybe a seed of an idea, but there were other ideas going along, right?
Yeah. So when we first met, sort of just to put it into context, I guess,
Mm.
for people, I literally just left the NHS. I'd been in the NHS as a clinical psychologist working in learning disability services for about 17, 18 years by that point. I'd been doing for a few years, probably about 5 years, alongside the NHS. I've been doing some private expert witness work. And because of things that were going on in my family, NHS just wasn't fitting for me at that time. I became a single mum or a double mum. My husband died about 9 years ago now. So I had 3 children, 2 of whom are neurodivergent. And I was trying to juggle that and the NHS, and I needed something else. And so I had an idea about I want to do more with regards to training for leaders in learning disability services, because I could see that in NHS we would go in and we would do sort of some firefighting if somebody was in crisis, but actually I could see that services needed something at a different level, at a higher level, that was creating better services for people. But alongside that, I was also looking at the expert witness stuff, and I was thinking, actually, I'm meeting with solicitors and things that are dealing with real difficult trauma, vicariously through what they are doing with their clients and everything they're reading. And actually, surely there's some work that could be done psychologically to support the well-being of the solicitors and those that were in the child proceedings that I was involved with and continue to be involved with, actually. So it was just like, where do I go? What do I do? And I'd had this idea, but I always remember the day that we met for the first time. I'd put it off, and I was like, right, I'm going to meet with Tilean on the first day that my daughter goes back to school because I will be clear. And then it turned out to be, I can't remember whether it was a snow day or whether we'd just gone back into COVID
Oh, yes.
restrictions.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, flip, I haven't got childcare now for my daughter. What am I going to do? How am I going to manage it? And then that morning, a friend who just lived around the corner said, "Oh, we're taking my daughter and or my granddaughter to the park at 11:30. We had our appointment at 12, and it was like, we're taking her at 11:30. Would Lydia like to come too? And we'll look after her for a couple of hours." And I was like, yes. It was like God was saying, "Yep, whatever gets thrown in the way, you need to meet with Tilean. You've got to get there. You have to keep moving with this." It's yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, it was
Oh,
great.
I love that share as well, because it's so likely that when you start to head out on the path that you really see God laying out, and it might even feel confusing, it might even feel unclear, you can only see the next right step, that something tries to come in and derail it, right? And I love that it just worked out for you and for her and for them, right? And for everybody else that gets to impact your work as you've been pressing forward, you know? So yeah, so I hope that highlights to everybody here listening that Hannah started with some ideas of like, okay, I could be helping make impact here or here or here or in this way or in that way. But there was no real clear, like, the name of the business or the website of the business, right? The business wasn't even there, right? It was just the starting point of like an idea, a thought, and then you headed off. And like you mentioned, it wasn't just you, right? Life was around you. You just left the National Health Service. You have also three children, right? Like there's so much that could have been like a, but God, no, not yet, right? Yeah. And you press forward anyway. What was saying yes to the journey like? Because sometimes people kind of perceive that they're going to be in a state of like, yippee, yes, all aligned, let's go. And
Oh my word, it was scary. It was really scary investing in myself. And if I'm honest, I don't feel the NHS invested in my training after I was qualified very well. So I've invested far more in myself as a lone private practitioner than I had before. And that was scary to do that because I'm used to other people paying for my training. I'm used to other people support, that all being managed through or at that point I was used to it being.
Mhm.
So there wasn't, am I doing the right thing? But I think even within our first conversation, and I think very much within that first conversation, you identified that my fire was in learning disabilities. That was what lit me up. And it does. Sorry, I won't, but I could carry on talking about it ad infinitum to you all. Um, but that was, you were really able to sort of like shape that struck quite early on, and that needed to be where I needed to go and sort of go away, think about that, develop that. So yeah, there was I don't think at that beginning point I had any, well, no, I didn't have any idea what was to come. I knew I was taking a step. I wanted to make a course for leaders.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand any of the other stuff that I needed to do and that I've had to now sort of negotiate and work out, and websites. I think I had an idea that I was going to have to create a website, but I didn't know anything about marketing. I didn't know anything about funnels, didn't know anything about advertising. And yeah, that just feels quite different now through that
Hmm.
journey.
Absolutely, absolutely. And right, like I love sharing that perspective as well of being in a space and environment where the mind then is built of like seeing like all my development, has been in this way, right? Which has felt really uncomfortable. And now I'm taking that into my own hands in a way in my business. You would have done it in your own way anyway, in some way, shape, or form, or some levels, but it's like a big way, a big commitment of, okay, I'm gonna build a business and I don't know about marketing. I don't know about tech or how to build a website. I assume I'm gonna have to have a website of some kind, right? Assume I'm gonna have to build an audience of some kind. I don't know where to start. But what I do know is that I've seen somebody that has walked the path ahead, it feels like a fit. I'm going to jump in. I'm going to jump in scared. And, but I'm going to jump in aligned, if that makes sense, right? Like, and I also remember, there were being thoughts of what others might think, right? Around,
Yeah.
yeah, which can totally come up for other people. I noticed certainly at the beginning of my journey of, well, what would my mum think, or what would, anyone think, right? And that can come up. How was that dealing with that, Anna?
Um, that was a real difficult journey, that bit
Mm,
of that aspect of what do others think. And I think that still continues today. Well,
mm,
I know it still continues today, that there's little bits of it. And I know you've talked about, and I love this analogy about like weeds in our garden, our brains, and that we need to pull out these negative weeds and that previously have served us, but they don't serve us now. And so to work through that has been a huge journey. So I know that I really struggled with what would my NHS colleagues think?
mm,
So those that when I started to put myself out there on social media, what on earth are they going to think of me? And yet, I've actually, I have had positive feedback from quite a few of them. Like, I think they think, wow, it's amazing you're doing it. And I'm now in a position of, well, I'm the one that's doing it. You're not,
mm,
so it's
mm,
not being big-headed as such, but I've taken a very different path. It is a very different path to theirs, but um, I've been able to deal with those negative voices that I previously heard. Um, Family was another one. Hearing family was a big, big issue of thinking about what my parents would think, um, what my sister would think,
mm,
what friends would think. I was really worried about how whether that would um, worry my, yeah, would I become disconnected from my friends through going on the
mm.
journey? That was a really, really big thing.
Yes, yes, yes,
Really,
yeah, absolutely. It is important to recognize that these thoughts, right, do impact in the beginning, yeah, and can still come up, right? Like you're saying, like they still come up, but it's like a different relationship with it, yeah. Of like if that thought is like, oh, okay, that's there, but how am I navigating with it is different than maybe, very different than how it was 4 years ago, yeah. And that shifts in like because you have your business brand has a strong visibility, right? You've built a community, you've built Instagram from scratch, you've been able to do that. We can talk about the practical sides of it, but the personal development side of it, the identity side of it, the psychological shifts and mindset changes around it, have really been important in that growth. Is there anything else you'd like to talk to about that and what has helped you grow a community of 900 and over 950
Yeah.
people, for example, right? And like that's not the strategic part. We can share the strategy part, but
Yeah.
outside of that, what has that been about?
So that personal development has been huge.
Mm,
So that leaning into beliefs that I've had about myself and having developed a new identity as a CEO.
mm,
So I had to say that I'm not, my identity was I was a clinical psychologist. My identity now is I'm a CEO of a business who
mm,
is also a clinical psychologist. So
mm,
I have this overarching view of the business and what is important. But there's also been something around my personal development of recognizing that God has given me a mission and that actually I need to communicate that mission to everybody out there. And
mm,
that if I'm not doing that, then I'm not serving. And so actually it's about overcoming those fears about what other people are saying versus actually, no, this is my mission. This is what I'm called to do. This is the people that I'm called to serve. And yes, I might have fear that people are going to say negative things or think negative things about me. However, there's an awful lot of other people who will be grateful for and need that voice on social media, need that voice
mhm,
in my new podcast, need that voice through the training, through the courses, through the challenges. But
mm.
that's taken an awful lot of work on an almost daily basis. I probably would have done it quicker if I had made sure it was on a daily basis.
Mm,
Of actually really visualizing who I'm becoming, turning up as the person I'm becoming, almost like stripping off layers upon layers of my identity to form the new identity, I guess, of
yeah.
who I am actually am becoming and stepping forward and thinking, right, okay, if I'm going to be, this is my vision that I believe has been given me of what my mission will look like of supporting people. Well, if I was fully in that, doing that now, 100%, who would I have to be today? Who would I have to, how would I show up? And sort of visualizing that and then showing up like that. Is
Yes.
that what makes the it's not just visualizing, it's actually showing up like that. So it's actually, you know, thinking in that mindset, not just that
Yeah.
smaller mindset. So it's expanding that mindset. And so it's been moving up and up and up through, and I've done that through various ways. There's been lots of reading, lots
Mm,
of mindset supervision with yourself,
mhm,
lots of listening to other people, um, thinking about podcasts I'm listening to, thinking about
mhm,
what I'm doing. I've done some own personal development. I know I did some personal development with Adam
mhm,
and
mhm,
some of the things that he does, and that was a wonderful journey. And I'm unblocked some things
mhm,
for me. Um, and I've yeah, that it's just moving up and moving up,
mm.
ensuring that I am staying grounded in who God wants me to be.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, like having the community around you, the support around you, your own ability to be like, actually, the work's not just done when we meet for supervision on a Wednesday or business strategy on a Monday or whatever it is. Like the work's happening ongoingly, right? To help me elevate in the person I'm becoming is so important. I think one of the things that some people realize and some people don't when they come into the business academy is the impact of transformation it has on themselves. They come in, they come in potentially recognizing that, okay, like we're going to learn business. How do I do a website? How do I do a marketing funnel? You know, how do I get my audience and all of that stuff? And you learn that stuff, right? It wasn't just, you know, the mindset piece that grew the audience to 950 plus and growing. And that's just one audience we're talking of here. But the change within yourself has to happen. And my commitment and my knowing of my path when I started the business academy, it had to be in a way that helped people holistically
Mm.
change themselves, their lives, so they can birth the business, right? So they can even have capacity to hold the vision that they're gifted as well. So I love that you share that, on that path. And like, what's it been like learning like the technical pieces, right? Like, so like I alluded to is like, the 950 plus community, the people you've served through your challenges, the people you've served on Instagram, like your clients, all of that, right? It's yes, there's the identity piece, but then there was you actually learning and implementing some stuff, right? I know you know paid advertising now, you have a website now, you have hired staff, right, on this journey, like all of this stuff, right? Practical support. What was that like gaining that in the business academy, or what's it been like learning that as well for you, right? As somebody that's come from a job and then now CEO of
Yeah.
a business.
Well, there's been pluses and there's been negatives. So actually, once I hired staff and I would say, right, I'd like to do this, we need to write out this email, get this formatted to send out, and it would be done within 2 hours as opposed to 2 weeks, which was more like the NHS timescales. I was like, oh my word, things are done. This is scary. I have still got my MacBook, which is still on.
Mm,
There have been many times when it almost went out of the window because tech side can be really difficult. It can be. Let's face it.
mhm,
I'm not a computer person as such. However, there is so much help out there. A in the academy, B through you've got your business program, which has been really helpful. Um, but just generally,
mm,
help people want to help you to work things through, whether that be Zoom, whether that be Facebook. There are people there to help businesses, to help young businesses to thrive. Um, and I
mm,
have loved giving a lot of that to my assistants, to sort of like go and sort that problem out, please. Although I have had to very much, and I know this is something you've taught, and I do totally agree with it. It's useful to understand every aspect of the business, know
mm,
every aspect, to know how to put that Facebook ad on, to know how to change the website page. Um,
mm,
I can't create the level of social media posts that my VA does. My virtual assistant does. She does it amazingly, but I will still record my own content. I'll still, so
mm,
it's bits that she can do. But that's also part of that CEO mindset of actually, this is what I'm good at.
mhm,
I'm not going to spend a lot of money and time, or I'm not going to spend a lot of time, which is money,
mhm.
on doing something that somebody else could do a lot quicker,
Exactly.
which is, you know,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
that's also that mindset comes through in all aspects. So why should I be mowing my lawns? I have somebody come round to mow my lawns because that
Mm.
saves me a bit of time, which either gives me quality time with my kids or more time in my business.
Yeah,
And the same with the
absolutely.
cleaner and things like that, that you can just actually sort of think about how can I be supported to do this mission.
Hmm.
So that's
Yeah, for
really,
sure. And even if I think about like hiring when, because I know you hired on the back end of like the training that I done on how to hire A plus players, and you have an exceptional virtual assistant, right? And I think there are things that strategically you get to be able to learn to be able to shorten the gap, right? In terms of instead of going out and hiring and having all of the pain that can come with it if you have somebody come in and they're not the right fit, and then you kind of start to think, why can't I get the right person, right? And to be able to impart those strategic parts to you and those in the academies is such a delight. And even things like the like running Facebook ads, Instagram ads, right? Hannah, you just recently put on and ads for your, one of your trainings that you're sharing, and being able to get more and more people's lives impacted because they can sign up for a training while you might be sleeping or playing with your children or in a meeting or doing something like this.
Yeah.
They're able to get that information, that nuggets from you, and yet you've been taught how to do that for very minimal in terms of when we think of ad spend as well. Yeah.
And that process has got quicker.
And
So
exactly.
as I've got more used to it, it's got quicker. So I know this last campaign I've done,
Yes.
um, I think I went from thinking about an idea to creating the webinar to advertising to transforming it into evergreen.
Hmm.
I think we've done that in a month.
Yeah, it was even quicker than that, I feel,
But I think into
But
every
the yeah,
from
yeah,
when I
yeah, from
first,
when you had the
yeah.
idea, because of conception. Right, yeah, yeah,
Um, yeah, so that's really quickly got through, and now I think over 300 people have registered for that
yeah.
now, at least on a very minimal ad spend.
Yes, yeah. Like
And
per person, I'm sure it's less than a pound or something like that.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
it's
So
great.
like there's some real strategic elements that you've been able to get your head around. And I think it's really important. I think, we can all get into something new and think, oh, will I ever be able to do this? Will I ever be able to do business? Will I ever be able to run an ad? Will I ever be able to finish this course or whatever it might be? Will I ever be able to drive? Will I ever be able to whatever it might be, right? But if we all commit to the learning cycle, which we have done in our life at some point over and over again, even just learning to walk, right? That reminding ourselves that we have that ability, innate ability to learn, right? And if we really just own that and go through that, and I love your honesty of like, there were days where I would just wanted to throw the laptop out the window and be like, done with this, right? And then it was like, okay, we can do this. I can commit to learning and I can grow it until the process gets quicker, it gets easier, it gets refined. But that's a process of development, And I feel like that as well is when you were able to drop anything, when people are able to drop anything around like the need to be perfect,
Yeah.
versus like, I'm just gonna get it done, right? So there's so much in that. Um, what's it been like having community around you, Hannah?
Oh, I've met the most amazing friends through doing this. And I feel that I certainly could not have done what I've done without that community around me, without being able to sort of message someone and go, oh, I'm struggling today, or, sharing something that's gone well and celebrating together and celebrating that with each other. Um, and just actually recognizing that you're part of, yes, I'm part of HRD Consultancy and I'm doing that, but it's also lovely to be part of that network of other people that are making a massive difference in the world
Mm,
as well.
mm,
Um, and you learn from each other, and everybody comes and brings their own nuggets of insight.
mm,
I've had people speak over me about what you need to keep going or you need to be doing this. You have people that give you ideas with regard to names of programs or whatever. Um, and just so much encouragement through it.
mm,
Um, and I think that one of the things that I missed from the NHS
mm,
when I went back to work in the NHS after losing my husband, I I went back for the social side. Had the
mm,
COVID and I lost that social side. And so it was like, well, I may as well be a lone practitioner. And
mm,
that can be really lonely. It can be really lonely to not be in a team, to not be, but I am now, being part of the academy, you're part of a team. You
mm,
might be working on your own different goals, but you're all working together and supporting each other and sharing with each other.
mm,
That has been really positive. I have had to deal with some mindset around it because
mm,
you get comparison
mhm,
of, well, they're doing that and I've not done that, or some jealousy of like, oh, they managed to I remember one lady early on in the academy, and she was getting the people into her group for the amount that I'm now getting my registrations for. And I wasn't, I
Mm.
was it was costing me a fortune to try and get people. I hadn't dialed in the ad at that point. I'd not managed to get it. And I can remember going, that's not fair. How has she got so many people coming each time she'd come on a call? Oh, I've had another 100 or whatever. And you'd be like, how has she got this many leads? And feeling really frustrated. But now feeling, well, I've got there as well.
Mm.
It sort of almost gives you hope that you will get there. Hope
Yes.
that you will be able to dial it in. Hope that you will be able to refine it to the point that you can. And also
Yeah.
remembering that everybody's on a different journey and God is revealing that journey at a different time for each person. And there are all sorts of factors that have to be aligned, that need to, he knows the right timing for things to take off. He knows the right
Absolutely.
timing for when things are going to happen.
Mm.
And so it's that trust as well, I guess, in that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I love that you shared that as well, because sometimes people are nervous about community, right? They're nervous about entering a community. They don't necessarily see the value or the desire of having a team around them, right? They're just like, I just want to kind of get the business knowledge or whatever from I can from Dr. Tilean and like whatever. I'll say hello maybe from time to time, but like and then they come in, they realize like it's the most loving, expansive, supportive community that I've even ever experienced. And I've been in many a mentorships, right? And it's important though to speak to those stretchiness that does happen when you enter community because it can be really stretchy seeing people ahead of you or seeing them like, oh, is my idea big enough or is it too small and all of those pieces that you then get to work through, right? And exactly where we have the Wednesday room as well, right? That mindset room because it can be stretchy, but it's the power in like the growth when you allow yourself to be in those environments is just super powerful. So I love that you spoke to that as well. Um, you know, hindsight has a remarkable thing, and you've dropped many nuggets through this today. But what if there was one thing you could tell your day one self? What would that be?
Oh gosh, what would that be? Keep at it. Definitely
Mm,
keep at it. That this is going to be a journey.
mm,
It won't all click into place straight away, but you will get there. Um, I'm glad that I didn't know on day one what I know now, because I
mm,
think I would have been, the vision now is far greater than it was back on day one. What I've achieved now is far greater than what I'd thought in day one. So I think that would have absolutely overwhelmed me back
mm,
then. But just trust that process and just keep going step by step, step by step, just take one step at a time. Same with anything, whether it's learning the tech, whether
mm,
it's moving something forward on your self-development, it's just step by step, little improvement each day,
mm, mhm.
each day, each week,
Absolutely.
little improvement. I love the book, Atomic Habits.
Oh
Really
yeah.
clear. 1% improvement every day. 1%
Yes.
improvement, 1% improvement. And just how can I improve everything? Whether that be my personal development, how can I,
Mhm,
you know, my mindset, my
mhm,
visualization, how can I improve the program? How can I improve this advert? How can I improve this business process? Just everything, every day.
love, love, love. Absolutely. Right. That 1% piece is super important. I love that. Right. And when you think of your bigger overall vision, which continues to unfold, right, as we know, yeah. But with what you know right now, what are you most excited to see unfold?
Most excited. I am most excited, I guess, that eventually to
Mhm,
have those homes, to have the, um, the concept is that through the profits from the business, I will invest that into property for individuals with intellectual disabilities, with neurodivergence, so that it can be properly high quality, good accommodation for them to be able to live and for them to have, so it would be properly designed for them and carers or support workers, that it will, and that's what I'm really looking forward to, that day when that first person moves in and meeting that person and seeing that person move into their property, and they're knowing their love for the fact that they've got their own home now, and being a good landlord and
Mm.
someone who will treat them with respect and understand them, understand their difficulties or their challenges, and understand what they need going forward, and being that good landlord for them, so that that's what I'm really looking forward to in the
Ah,
future.
I'm so happy you shared that and you put that out there, and everyone can hold that vision as well with Hannah, I'm sure as well, right? What an unfolding. And we're getting ready to wrap up with this, but before and I say goodbye with this interview, I would love for you to share like how can people learn more about you and if they could be served by your work, right? Like if there are people that hear this and like we said, how can they get in touch, right? Maybe they can support the vision in some way. Maybe they are somebody that is impacted in their life and they're like, I need help with this. I
Yeah.
need to get hold of you. What's the best way for them to find you and
Um,
get hold of you?
yeah, so my website is www.hrdconsultancy.co.uk. And there's a contact you page on there.
Mhm.
Um, or you can find me on socials as HRD Consultancy. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. I'm there. You can
She's
find,
there. She's findable. She's findable.
and I'd be really willing to speak with anybody who needs some support with that. Um, I also have my own podcast now called Thrivability, with new podcasts out every Tuesday at 1 o'clock. And that's available on most platforms that you would get your podcast from, but you can also access it via my website. Uh,
Thank you so
yeah.
much for sharing. We will also put notes to that as well, so people can also find you when we share this as well. This has been so beautiful, Hannah. So, so, so beautiful.
Thank you very much for having me.
You are welcome, right? And I hope it's an inspiration to those of you that listen to this, that you don't need a big audience, a fancy funnel, or all the answers to even get started, right? I think a lot of what Hannah's spoken to here is about courage to believe. Yeah. Um, and she's just really able to demonstrate what it really looks like to just continue to take that path. It's one step at a time, even when the fear might be there, even when it's scary right there as well. So thank you so much, Hannah. Really appreciate it. All right.